We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Stranger Things Science Camp, issue 2 of 4. This is a miniseries from Dark Horse Comics in 2020, written by Jody Houser, pencils by Edgar Salazar, inks by Keith Champagne, colors by Marissa Louise, letters by Nate Piekos of Blambot, cover by Viktor Kalvachev, edited by Spencer Cushing, assistant editor Connor Knudsen. Cover's actually really good. The interior art is a little bit different, and by a little bit, I mean significantly. So apparently the counselor that was in peril last issue had left a note saying that she quit, but that seems a little fishy. And Dustin gets wind of this, but he doesn't think much of it because of the note. He's more focused on trying to come up with a D&D game, and he actually gets inspiration from those two idiot bullies. Meanwhile, this girl Susie is interested in Dustin, but she's very socially awkward and has never talked to a boy, and she's kind of nervous about it. So she gets some advice from one of the counselors who talks like a modern millennial and not somebody from the 80s, because she uses science-y. That was not something said in the 80s. So when she tries to talk to Dustin, things get really weird, and another counselor may be in some trouble, and Dustin might be on the case after all. Again, this has its problems, but it looks pretty interesting so far. It's just kind of dragging out. There's a lot of flashbacks in here, which are kind of a waste of time. That was fine the first issue, but most of it in here is just fluff padding. They did actually use the to be continued in the bottom corner, so maybe somebody's on the ball. The art is okay, it's serviceable, but it's not that good. There are parts where people's heads look really weird, but the characterization's pretty good. Jody Houser's pretty good at creating characters that have backgrounds. It's just they're typically boring to me, but this is actually done pretty well. The story's okay. It's not the greatest. Some of the dialogue I think needs a little more research for the time period, and there's a reference to Friday the 13th in here, but there were 3 or 4 Friday the 13th movies out by 1985, so they only referenced the first one as if that's the only one. That was a little weird to me. Overall though, it's an okay issue. I don't think it's all that great. Paper quality's garbage. It's worth reading if you can find it out of a dollar bin. This issue was, I think, a little better paced than the first issue, and the art is slightly improved from that issue, but it's still not that wonderful. It's just one step above Dynamite, and Dark Horse is really slipping on quality. The paper quality's trash. The art is at best subpar for such a major publisher, but it's worth a buck or two. We'll see how the rest of the miniseries plays out, but so far it's just kind of mediocre and it's a little dragged out. A little bit more things need to happen. Get a little more action adventure in here. This is still almost first act of a movie, so it's kind of a little boring at this point and it needs to pick up, but it's not boring enough that I'm willing to just totally ignore it and give up on it. It's still got some potential. So we'll see how issue 3 goes, but it really needs to kind of pick up the pace a little more. And that's the problem with a lot of modern comics, is they're not getting to the interesting parts. They're focusing on decompressing all these other elements that aren't as interesting. A bunch of people sitting around talking is not nearly as interesting as watching somebody run around. So when they actually have this mysterious individual confront the counselors, it just cuts away and we never know anything. Was somebody running in terror for their life? We don't know. Those interesting parts are completely ignored. So I think that's one of the problems of modern comics that's being focused on here as well, and it really does affect the book and the interest level in it. So this could be way more exciting and interesting, but they're focusing in all the wrong areas. That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel in other ways, links to my Patreon, Streamlabs, and Teespring store are in the description. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.